What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Cage My IQ. As always, I'm your host, Cage. Joining with me, as always, is my co-host, Jim. How you doing today, Jim?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I am doing good. I'm ready to talk UFC Fight Night. We got Corey Sandhagen versus Yadung Sung in the main event. What are your thoughts on this main event when it was first announced?
I really like this matchup. I think both of them match up very well. There's some contrasting styles there too, and this is a story of two people who are trying to make their way up to the top. One trying to go back up, and one trying to go up there for the first time. So it's going to be this is a sleeper, not even sleeper. I can't even say that. It's like circle that for a possible fight of the night.
Exactly. But before we get into the predictions, of course, as always, as you saw in the intro, this is Cage My IQ, the best place for MMA content. You can follow us on social media on Twitter, uh, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe and notification bell down below so you guys can get all the content right away whenever it gets put out. And then please smash the like button down below and hit us up in the comment section. Give us some feedback on your thoughts on UFC Fight Night for this week. But let's get started with the action. Let's break it down real quick. We got a 14 fight card at the UFC Apex, of course, in Las Vegas, Nevada. But let's go with the first fight on the prelims. We got a men's matchup in the lightweight division between Nicholas, aka Iron Mota, going up against Cameron Jumpman Van Camp. What are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
Yeah, so both of these guys are coming off of knockout losses and looking to get back into the win column. Mota has a ton of power, it's good striking defense. Van Camp is more of your grappling based, but showed some decent stand up in his Andre Fiallo fight before getting knocked out. He had a higher volume. What stands out to me is Van Camp is dropping down to lightweight, which could be good or bad for him. I'm going with Mota in this one, but I'm intrigued to see what Van Camp looks like at this weight for the first time in 6 years. So I think Mota's going to use a stand up to work in a third round knockout of Cameron Van Camp. So Mota, third round KO.
That's the most intriguing part of this fight is the fact that Van Camp is making the move down, so he's likely going to have the bigger reach, be a little bit taller, and then he'll be able to put that weight back on and kind of try and use that to his advantage. But we all know that whenever you cut weight, that it could affect your speed or your power. But we got Mota, of course. He has that Muay Thai. He trains in Muay Thai. He likes to go quick strikes. He also trains in boxing. So it's all about the movement, all about the different hooks, jabs, and shots. He uses the Muay Thai for the clinch, and then he just has really good speed. And then he likes to mix in calf kicks from time to time. The one thing he needs to improve is his striking defense, though, because he tends to get hit a lot in fights, and it kind of affects him. And then, of course, his cardio. Then you got Van Camp. He has the wrestling background along with the boxing BJJ. He tends to take too much damage, so his striking defense is poor. He likes to use the takedowns to set up his striking or submission game. But he's all about attacking over control on the mat. And one thing he likes to do is apply pressure. I'm going to go Nicholas Mota by first round knockout here. I think his speed and his hands are going to be his best weapon, and I think that Cameron Van Camp won't be able to deal with it unless he's able to grapple up with him. But even though he has that, Mota has that Muay Thai clinch background, and I feel like he'll be good to a strike within the clinch.
Yeah, there's a lot of what ifs in this one. How is Cameron going to show up after the weight cut? What
Right.
if Moda runs out of energy? There's a lot there, but I'm excited for this one.
Exactly. Next fight that we have on the prelim, we got a men's bantamweight matchup between Tony Gravely versus Javid Basharat. Uh, Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning? We got Tony, and then you got Javid, aka the Snow Leopard.
Yeah, this one's really interesting. Gravely thrives when he wins the battle for takedowns and has really good counters, uses the uppercut very well. Basharat is well-rounded. He's a higher pace striker than Gravely is. I'm going to go with Basharat in this one. He moves well in the pocket and avoids damage. He's also good on the ground and from his back. He doesn't worry about being taken down because he can get you from his back. Gravely has a big chance of winning this one, though. I think his last fight he took his opponent down like 11 times.
Yeah.
Dude's a beast. He's a wrestle heavy guy. But I'm going to go with Javid Basharat by decision on this one.
Yeah, first he got Gravely. He has that Taekwondo wrestling background. Just like he said, one of his goals is to get the fight to the ground. He uses the double and single leg takedown, and then sometimes he looks to get into a clinch and use the leg trip. He has powerful hands. That's what's sneaky about him. He likes to mix in calf kicks and body kicks. And one of the weaknesses that he has is he tends to take too much damage, and then his cardio, because he usually does a lot of grappling in his fights. And then you got Javid Basharat. He has the kickboxing jiu-jitsu background, likes to use the jab, leg kicks, and overhand strikes. His ground game is very uh, underrated. He can use it if he needs to, but he's all about the movement and the point fighting. He pours in a lot of volume, and he is very quick. And then he does have a high finish rate, and he's never just standing still. He's always on the move. He's go, 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 go. And because of that, that's why I'm going with him by decision in this matchup. I feel like he's going to be the guy to pour in high volume. As long as he can defend the takedown and stuff whatever Tony Gravely does, or it just doesn't stay putting up for him to shoot and get a hold of him, he should be able to have an easy day in this one. He just has to avoid those knockout shots of Gravely. It's just
Yeah,
like move, hit, move, hit, move, hit. That's going to be the game plan for Javid Basharat.
yeah, he's got to stay active. If he plants
Yeah.
his feet, Gravely's either going to take him down or catch him with one.
Yep. But let's move on to the next matchup on the card. We got a women's flyweight matchup between Maria Agapova versus Jillian Robertson. We got Maria versus Jillian, aka Demon Slayer versus the Savage. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
I like both of their nicknames. This one could go either way for me.
Yeah.
Both are really good on the ground, but I give the advantage on the ground to Robertson. She's got the most submission victories in the women's division. Um, the thing, the thing is that lately Jillian has struggled disguising those takedowns, and she's become a little more predictable. And if she becomes predictable in this one, Agapova has good hands and knockout power. Plus, she's also good on the ground, so this might have to stay standing. And if it stays standing, I give that advantage to Agapova. But I do see Robertson getting this fight to the ground, locking in. I'm going to go an armbar second round submission for Jillian Robertson.
Yeah, we know June Robinson. She has the high level BJJ background, and then she has a low key kickboxing background.
Yep.
But with her kickboxing, it's all about throwing the calf kicks and moving around, setting up the takedowns because her striking is in need of improving. She doesn't throw enough, but when she gets the fight to the ground, she has great transitions, great submission entries, and she tends to always win by submission. So if she could get the fight to the ground, that would benefit her. But then you got Agapova, who has a kickbox and boxing background. She likes to push the pace. She has quick hands. She throws overhand looping shots. She throws jabs and uppercuts. She likes to attack the body, and she has a tendency to use the leg trip in the clinch. That's part of her grappling game that she does have. The one thing she needs to improve is like you mentioned is the takedown defense, and she has the knack of finishing fights with a submission, which is crazy because she doesn't use the grappling too much. It just comes to her. It's like she fights right into the clinch, and then she locks in a submission and standing, and then she tends to win and get the opponent to tap. But the one weakness she has is her cardio. She tends to tire out, and she pours in too much. This was a tough one for me to call because of both of their backgrounds and how they're doing right now. I'm going to go with Agapova by decision in this one. I don't think that she gets tapped out. I feel like that's the only way that Joey Robinson right now has a chance to win, especially since I haven't seen her progress at all in the last 2 years. It's been the same thing. She looks to get the fight to the ground, and then she submits her opponent, but she can't do that. She always loses by low volume, and I feel like Agapova can do enough to outproduce her and then get the decision victory.
All right. I mean, I can see that happening. Uh, just if Robertson doesn't get the takedown, then it's going to be a long fight for her. But she seems to be getting it done. You know, every time she's put like her last fight against Cachoeira, a lot of people thought she was going to get slept,
Yeah,
and she locked in a submission. So you know, she's good at what she does. You know, they say if it's not broke, don't fix it. But she does need to improve her striking because that women's division is getting more dangerous as the days
yeah.
progress. So she's going to have to start striking heavily.
She's not going to be able to move up the ladder and make some leeway up the rankings unless she adds some strike into her game. She's always going to go up, down
Yeah,
with how she is.
it was kind of the same thing with Mackenzie Dern when she came in. They thought she was a
Yes.
one-trick pony, but then she went, you know, and started working with Jason Perillo, worked on her
Yeah.
boxing, and really kind of leveled up her game. And she's actually going to be someone we're going to be talking about in the next few weeks, main
Yeah.
eventing. So she went from being the newcomer to a main eventer. So, you know, it's
Exactly.
it's the pathway is there.
Yep. Let's move on to the next fight on the prelim. We got a men's lightweight matchup between Trey Ogden going up against Daniel Zellhuber. And we got the Samurai Ghost going up against the Golden Boy. What are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
This is a fight that I'm really looking forward to. Daniel Zellhuber is a dangerous man who can throw bombs and he works really well on the
Yeah.
ground. Ogden's coming in from one of the best gyms, in our opinion, with Glory and is a durable grappler and he puts himself at risk when trying to get
Yeah.
submissions, which usually results in him getting subbed. I think Zellhuber is going to come in very quick. I think he's going to be coming in crisp and calculated and get a second round KO of Trey Ogden.
Yeah, first we got Ogden. He has a striking and grappling background. He has a nice jab. He's always constantly moving and looking to mix up punches and kicks with pressure. He needs to improve his takedown defense. You saw that against in his last fight, how that's one of the things that he tended to get beat on, which is his takedown defense, and he got taken down several times, and it made him lose the fight that he was winning with the stand up point fighting game. He is too comfortable on his back, but he does have great submission entries. He has good takedowns and transitions. He prefers ground and pound over position, and then he adapts to situations well. But then you got Zellhuber, who is a quick striker with a background in Muay Thai and kickboxing. He likes to throw a wide range of kicks to the head, body, and legs. He is constantly moving forward and managing his cardio very well. He's good at using range and likes to throw high volume and has a high finish rate. He will throw elbows in the clinch and likes to use flying knees in his fights. And then he tends to start out slow in each fight. So if you want to get ahead on Zalhuber, you want to get started early because he tends to start slow and then he works his way through. I'm going to go with Daniel Zellhuber by second round knockout in this one. I think that his hand speed, those leg kicks, and his striking are going to be too much for Ogden. And this is the one thing where even though Ogden's not going to have to worry about the transitions or the grappling. I think Zohu was just going to be too quick, and he's going to land so much on him that he's going to take too much damage. And I could see him losing by a second round uh, base kick that just puts him down.
Nice. I think, if I'm Trey Ogden in this fight, I'm immediately going for a takedown. If you
Yes.
have a slow starter, you get him down there, you wear him down for the whole first round and see how he comes out the second round. See if he comes out even slower. And then you just repeat the process. But Trey likes the point fight, like you said. He likes to,
Yeah.
get into a rhythm, see what his stand-ups looking like. But with Daniel, he might come in here and say, you know what, that's going to be his path to victory, taking me down. I need to
Yeah.
finish him early.
No, I'm with you with that. You want to get to him early, get him down, and try and wear on that gas tank. Because even if you have a good gas tank, if you can get there early, get the fight to the ground, and then just wear on them, that's a different ball game for people. And then
Yep.
it makes them think a little bit more, and they start worrying about defending the takedown rather than get their game plan going.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Let's move on to the next fight on the prelims. We got a women's strawweight matchup between Denise Gomes going up against Loma Lookboome. We got Loma versus Gomes. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
This is a good matchup. There are two sides of Loma Lookboome. There's the
Yes.
one where she's super aggressive on her feet, comes in with the takedowns, lands a bunch of takedowns, works in ground and pound, works in sub attempts. And then there's the more timid Loma. Um, Gomes, on the other hand, shined in her contender series fight, and her only losses in 2017. She lost that fight and took 4 years off. I think she was 18 when she lost her first fight. She took 4 years off, and since then, she hasn't lost. She's looked super impressive on the regional scene. I'm going to go with Gomes in this one. I think she has the power advantage. She's got really good cardio. She's got good grappling. So I'm going to go with her by decision.
Yeah, this was very tough. And then the fight was she took the fight not on short notice, but of course Loma's first opponent backed out
Yep.
due to injury. So then Denise was brought in. So that does factor into it a little bit for me, since Loma was able to prepare for time on this. But you got Loma. She has the Muay Thai wrestling background. She throws a lot of leg kicks up front, like the side kick, the front kick, and the head kick. She uses a lot of those kicks to set up her takedowns, and then she likes to get inside the clinch. That to me, that's why she trains Muay Thai, is the Muay Thai clinch, where she gets inside after throwing those kicks, and then she leg trips you. She has very good strength and very good body movement. She looks for control over offense on the mat. She likes to attack when she has a chance to with the elbows and the ground and pound. And she has good movement, good hands. But the one thing she has to watch is she tends to get overpowered against somebody who is stronger than her. And then you got Gomes. She has a Muay Thai grappling background, quick hands. She has knockout power. She likes to clinch up against the cage, mostly not in the middle of the octagon. She's very aggressive, always moving forward. She does need to improve her overall grappling sense, and she needs to start fighting on the feet more. Whenever she gets the fight to the ground, it's not it's not going to end well for her. She's more of a point fighter. I'm gonna go Loma here, and I'm gonna go with her by decision because I feel like she's gonna be able to outstrike her with the leg kicks, use that to get the fight to the ground. I feel like Gomes is gonna get taken down several times, and then that Loma will be able to hold her down and to just do a little bit of work on the mat, and then to win by just the takedowns and volume.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, there's two sides of her. She needs to be
Yeah.
aggressive in this fight, or she's gonna get pieced up by Denise.
Yeah. I do see the where that could happen. I just think that with the her taking the fight on less than a few weeks' notice, that's going to benefit Luma.
That's true. But she was who her last opponent was Eubanks. Is that
Yes.
who she was supposed to fight? So she's training for a completely different type of fighter. So
Yeah.
clean slate for both of them at this point. But Loma's more conditioned, in my opinion, at this point.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next fight on the prelim. We got a women's bantamweight matchup between Aspen Ladd versus Sarah McMahon. What are your thoughts on this fight, and then who do you got winning this?
Yeah, this is another one that could go either way, like we talked about with the Agapova and Robertson fight. Aspen
Yeah,
Ladd has been trending downward, but is the more aggressive striker in this fight, which is different from her previous matchups with Norma Dumont and so on. McMahon has been alternating wins and losses, but has been great at getting her opponents to the ground. She's averaging at least one or two takedowns per fight, and that's really where she's shining. If this stays standing, I have Ladd, but if it goes to the ground, I have McMahon. I'm going to go with Ladd in this one. I think she's going to be more aggressive. She's going to get her striking together. She's going to keep the fight standing. She's got pretty good striking or takedown defense, and she's not a slouch on the ground herself. So I have Aspen Ladd by decision getting back into the win column.
yeah. This is your stereotypical striker versus grappler matchup. Of course, Aspen Ladd likes to throw a lot of leg kicks, a lot of boxing involved. That's why she's favored in boxing, kickboxing. Throws the jab, calf kick, body kick, left hook, elbows and knees in the clinch, and she has a habit of getting takedowns with her strength. There's not very much skill with it, but she's all about the volume game, and she showcased it right before she went out for a year and a half, and then she came back, and she's kind of looked a little bit rusty in her last couple of fights, but I feel like once she gets going, she'll be able to get that volume game going. Then you got Sarah McMahon. She has a high level wrestling background. She looks to get the fight to the ground, use the submission game. She's all about the ground and pound with her hands. She's very aggressive. When she stands up, she throws the overhand looping shots. She uses the uppercut. She likes to attack the body as well as the head. And one thing she needs to do is improve her leg kicks. She throws them, but there's not much to them. So it's like you wonder at times if she should even throw them if she's not going to put any oof around them. Her striking defense needs a lot of improvement, but she does have really good cardio, so she can wrestle all day and not get tired. This was very tough for me because I feel like Sarah McMahon's on the up, and then Aspen Ladd is kind of on the way down
Yep.
with the performances. If the Aspen Ladd from a couple of years ago shows up, I think she would win. I'm going to go with Sarah McMahon, though, and I'm going to go with her by decision just because I've seen a lot more from her lately than I have Ladd, and she's looked better and she's looked like she's getting more improved with her striking, whereas Aspen Ladd has just there's just something missing with to me with her that she's not doing. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the volume game because she's not putting the volume up like she used to, or maybe it's just the movement. But there's something missing.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things missing. One, I think she's worried about getting injured again. That
Yeah,
last injury put her out for a really long time. And two, she's kind of jumped from division to division. At
yeah,
one point she was fighting at featherweight because she wanted to go up that way. Um, and she's been fighting like higher level competition, Norma Dumont's, Jermaine Durandabase.
yeah,
Um, Sarah McMahon, to your point, has been shining and she's been thriving at 41. She's getting better as she's getting older, and she's just going out there and doing what got her to this spot in her career. I'd like, you know, I'd like to see that whole, that stereotypical kind of like, this is my last hurrah, the last dance for Sarah McMahon as she, rises through the ranks and gets a title shot. It would be very nice to
yeah.
see. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna silently root for Sarah McMahon in this fight too, even though I picked Aspen Ladd.
Yep. Well, let's move on to the next fight. On the prelims, we got a men's welterweight matchup between Chevin Giles going up against Luis Koske. We got the problem versus the monster. What are your thoughts on this fight, and who do you have winning?
Yeah, I feel like this fight came out of nowhere. This is one of those fights that on paper looks great, and then you look at the odds and you're like,
Yeah.
Trevin Giles coming in as the favorite after getting knocked out twice.
Minus
against the
205. Yep.
right. Yeah, like coming in against the guy who has 5 or 6 knockout wins on his own, it doesn't add up there. But what happens is Trevin Giles is very good on his feet. He's got good hands, and he has a 3-inch reach advantage and a 3-inch height advantage in this. So he's the
Yep.
bigger, longer fighter in this. So Koss is going to have to go into Trevin Giles' house to get shots in. Koss coming in as the underdog is a good play here because he's got good hands. He's got one punch knockout power, even though he got stopped his last fight out. I'm actually going to go with Louis Kosk in this one. I think I like what he does. He's probably going to get knocked out, but I think he gets the second round knockout over Trevor Giles, whose chin has been on display as of the last 2 fights.
Yeah, this was a fun matchup to look in and to pick. First, you got Giles. In fact, both of them, they both have good striking and grappling backgrounds, of
Yep.
course, in wrestling. They both have quick hands. They both utilize the movement. They both can knock you out. They both like to get the fight to the ground if need be. The one difference is I feel like Koske has a bigger power, but then he has cardio issues at times. And then Giles has great cardio, and then he tends to go to decision more. But he likes to rotate, like Giles likes to use his striking to set up his grappling, and then grappling to set up his striking. So at times you don't know what he's going to do, and then he's picky with his strike selection, whereas Kosuke just goes with the flow and just throws at you. And he has won majority of his fights in the first round, so that's why his cardio is a little bit of an issue because he hasn't been going the distance as much. And I'm gonna go with the Kosuke by first round knockout here, just because I feel like he's gonna be more fluid with his striking. I feel like he has better power, and then he's on the move up. Whereas I feel like Trevin Giles has been around for a while, and he's going to be on the move down. And I feel like him being too picky with the striking might be a downfall for him in this matchup.
Yeah, especially after getting knocked out twice back to back.
Yep.
You might have to pick your shots. Maybe he goes wrestling heavy in this matchup,
Yeah.
and tests Kosk on the ground. But there's a lot there to look at. That's one of the fights that I highlighted. And I'm like, I need to see both these guys because they're at a crossroads in their career. I'd like to see where they go from here.
Yep. Let's move on from that to the next matchup on the prelim. One of my anticipated matchups. We got a men's featherweight matchup between Damon Jackson going up against Pat Sabatini. We got the Leech versus Sabatini. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
Yeah, this is going to be one of those fights that it's going to be a battle on the ground the whole time. Both are grappling-based fighters, with Sabatini landing multiple takedowns and going to work from there. He likes to include ground and pound from top. Damon Jackson's really good on his back. He actually prefers to be on his back. He likes to hunt takedowns, but stands out. But what stands out to me is that Sabatini's way more aggressive on the ground. Damon likes to work his
Yeah.
way into submissions, work his guard in there, where Sabatini is just throwing elbows, throwing strikes, trying to finish fighters. I'm going to go with Pat Sabatini. I don't think he finishes Damon Jackson, but I think he does enough to win by unanimous decision.
Yeah, and if you want to learn a little bit more about Damon Jackson, check out the interview I did with him last month on my YouTube channel. Just go there, go to interviews, and it's right there. Interviewed him a month ago about this fight coming up and about the fights that he had in May and June. But with this one, of course, like you said, they both have BJJ and wrestling backgrounds. I believe Damon Jackson's more of the jiu-jitsu side of things, where he looks to grapple up with you, get the fight to the ground, look for submissions and entries, but he prefers control time over attack. Whereas Pat Sabatini is more of the offensive side of things. He looks to get the fight to the ground and ground and pound and do work, and then just put volume on there with the ground and pound. But he's very good at holding his opponent to the ground, to keep them from getting any fight started. The one thing I do like about Jackson is his improving striking on the feet. We haven't seen much of that by Sabatini because he's dominated with his takedowns and with his grappling, whereas Jackson has kind of developed a little bit of a striking background with the overhand shots. He's been utilizing a jab a little bit, and then those leg kicks. So if the fight can stay standing, I do like Jackson. It's just a matter of can he get there. Right now, I'm going to go with Sabatini by submission, second round submission, because I feel like he can work the ground and pound and then transition to submissions. Damon Jackson has been prone to submission in the past, so that's
Yeah.
something to keep a track on. But I wouldn't be surprised though if Damon Jackson was able to win by decision just by keeping the fight standing and throwing more volume because he does have a better background in that, and we have no idea what to expect from Sabatini in the stand-up game.
Yeah, it's true. Sabatini's been fighting, like, he's fought a ton of people. He's been around for quite some
Yeah,
time, but he's just been dominating on the ground. This is a very interesting matchup.
yeah. But let's move on to the main event fight on the prelims. We got men's middleweight matchup between Anthony Hernandez going up against Marc Andre Barrio. We got Fluffy going up against Powerball. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
This is another really good matchup. Great main event for the prelim card. Hernandez is a really good grappler. Comes in strong, can lock in a number of takedowns, number of submissions. I'm sorry. Barrio is a higher volume striker who's good on at defending takedowns. I feel like this will stay standing the majority of the fight, which favors Barrio. But I think late in the second round, Hernandez is going to get a takedown, and that carries over to the third round, leading to a decision win for Anthony Fluffy Hernandez.
I can see that. First, you got Hernandez. He's a striker with the background in wrestling and BJJ. He has great movement and good hands. But he succeeds in the takedown and submission game as well. He has great cardio and good transitions, but he needs to be more aggressive with his striking and more diverse with his game. Whereas Marc Andre Barrio has the kickboxing background with mixed with BJJ. He throws a lot of volume and utilizes different types of leg kicks as his primary weapon. He mixes overhand strikes to keep opponents guessing. And then he likes to throw knees and elbows in a clinch. And then he has improved his takedown defense over time, but his striking defense needs to be on par if he wants to win fights at this level. And that's why I'm going with Anthony Hernandez by second round knockout here. I feel like he's the better fighter. We've seen that Barrio can win by volume, but he's been hit a lot the last couple fights where he's been finished. And we've seen that Hernandez can finish a fight just like that, whether it's with a knockout or submission. And I think he gets it done by knockout.
Yeah, Anthony Hernandez is a very exciting fighter. I'm looking forward to this fight a lot.
So am I. But other than that, let's move on to the first fight on the main card. We got a men's heavyweight matchup between Tanner Boser, who's going up against Rodrigo Nascimento. We got the Bulldozer versus Azay Kamea. What are your thoughts on this fight? And then who do you have winning?
This one's another interesting matchup with two fighters with completely different styles.
Yeah,
Bozer is more striking based, uses his combinations and leg kicks to rack up volume, whereas Nascimento is the more of the grappling based, despite being a heavier fighter in the division. I think he last weigh-in was like 259, so he's one of the heavier heavyweights.
yeah,
Um, and he also comes in with an 80-inch reach in all of his fights. So he's usually the longer fighter in this one. Bozer is good on the ground too, sneaky jiu-jitsu off on the ground, and he hasn't showcased it as of late. And he might have to showcase it this fight if Rodrigo gets into the ground. The thing is, both of these guys are coming off of a 1 year layoff, so they both should be fresh theoretically. And I'm going to go with my gut on this one. I'm going to go Tanner Boser, second round knockout.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like Boozer, he's a quicker opponent. He has he pours in a lot of volume. He has great cardio. He's probably one of the best cardios in the division. He throws a wide range of leg kicks. He comes in there with good takedown defense. And like he does have that Muay Thai background, which makes him good to clinch with the knees and the elbows. He usually uses a nice strike to follow up his leg kick. That way, he's always throwing combinations at his opponent from different levels. He needs to improve his technique, his power. He doesn't throw much with power, but he has great technique. And then one thing that does worry me with him is what he is weak against guys with power. Like
Hmm.
he struggles with guys who come in with explosion and hit at him. He tends to get knocked out from those type of guys. Then you got Nascimento, who does have a little bit of striking to his background, but he's all about accuracy and he's all about getting the fight to the clinch or the ground and looking for submissions. He has great cardio, but he has a bad chin, and I think that's why I'm going Bozo in this one. I'm either going third round, a knockout, or I'm going decision here because I feel like that's going to be a big thing. Is the fact that he's more about the grappling than he is the striking, and then he has a bad chin. And then I've seen Bozo do good against grapplers, and as long as he doesn't and have knockout power, then I feel like Bozo's going to take more chances
Okay.
in the matchup and to try and confuse and to overwhelm Rodrigo.
What do you think the over under is on takedowns for Nascimento? Do you think he lands two?
I think he could land two. It just depends on how long the fight goes.
I agree.
Let's move on to the next fight on the main card. We have a men's middleweight matchup between Alan Amadaski versus Joseph Fiver. What are your thoughts on this fight, and then who do you have winning?
This is going to be a war. Both of these guys are knockout artists who can get it done quickly, but also can be finished quickly. So that's something to
Yeah,
look at there. They throw heavy and they absorb a lot. Amandowski has really struggled in the UFC, while Piper has gotten better after losing to Dustin Stoltzfus in his first Contender Series fight. And
yeah,
I watched that fight, and I saw that on his, going back through the notes again. I was like, oh, he lost to Stoltzfus, but it was a slam. It was one of those like weird kind of
yeah,
finishes. So I'm not going to hold that against him. But since that fight, he worked his way back up to the second contender series fight. And he looked really good. So I'm going to go with Piper in this one. He's the bigger fighter. He's been putting it together his last few fights, like I said. And I see him winning by first round knockout, given Amandovski's take two to give one.
yeah. Amadaski has not looked good since joining the UFC. He's primarily a striker. He has that weird stance that he uses. It's like he fights with like that torque in his within his side, where he just goes in there with build up like frustration and he just swings at you. And then he does have knockout power in every shot that he has, but it tends to drain his gas tank when he does it. So and then he has bad striking defense. He's been prone to the knockout. And then he needs to improve, like just have more of a diverse background. It's just him throwing those knockout shots and stand there, and it leaves himself open. Whereas Joseph Fire, he has a background in box and wrestling. He is quick, and he has fast hands that are crisp. He has knockout power. He's very accurate with the strikes. He loves to mix in double and single leg takedowns. And then he has good ground and pound and transitions on the mat. And he has really good cardio on top of that. So that's why I'm going with you. I'm going with Joseph Fire by first round knockout. I just feel like he has more of a better skill set than Amadaski. I've seen Amadaski get just destroyed in fights. In one of his first ones, he got 26th on the cards by Christoph Jocko, because of the grappling. And then the next two, he got knocked out in the first round very quick. So I'm going with Juice and Fire by first round knockout.
Yeah, the writing's kind of on the wall. Sometimes it's a little predictable with the Contender Series fighters that Dana White just like they match him up with somebody who's trending downward, so
Yeah.
it can kind of hype up the show. And this seems like one of those ones. You got a guy coming in with a nickname Body Bag. He's not gonna go 3 rounds with this guy. He's gonna try to put him in a body bag.
No. But I will say that he has to watch out for that knockout shot from
For sure.
Amidowski because he has big time power. It's just that at most of the time he telegraphs it. So as long as Joseph Byer can read it, he should be fine. And then maybe at times when he's about to throw it, he can read it and then transition down from up to mid and then go for a takedown and then change
Right.
levels to a takedown and then get into the mat because Amidowski is weak with the ground game.
Yeah, show a little different
Yeah.
side of your game.
It take a little bit more time, but within that time, showcase a little bit what you can do to get him kind of like a practice for the
Yeah,
next fight.
yeah. It's a shame. It's a
Yeah,
shame. Practice. Oh, geez.
yeah. But let's move on to the next fight on the main card. We got a men's featherweight matchup between Andre Philly versus Bill Algeo. We got Touchy versus Senor Perfecto. Jim, what are your thoughts on this fight? And who do you have winning?
Love this matchup. Bill Algeo has really taken a turn and has become a really exciting fighter as of late. He looked great his last time out, while Feely has been struggling to get a win. He's been a victim of a draw and I believe 2 straight losses. What stands out to me is common opponents with these two fighters, and the
Yeah,
most recent one was Brito. And Feely got knocked out, I believe, in the first round, while Algeo outlasted him and went the distance, outstruck him, did a very good job in his last fight.
yeah.
Algeo's pace is exhausting. He's not afraid to mix it up and take it to the ground. So I'm going to go with Bill Algeo by decision in this one.
Yeah, then in his last fight, he outlasted his opponent the same way and did the same thing, but got the finish
Yeah,
in that fight in the last one. And Bill Algier looked very good there. And
yeah, he finished him by exhaustion.
yeah, and then Andre Philly has just hit like the one fight where he looked great, and the fight went to basically no contest because of an accidental eye poke against I believe Daniel Pineda, and he was looking great in that one. So like he lost a lot of the momentum because of the no contest.
Yep,
But within that fight, you got Philly. He has a striking and wrestling background. Of course, he trains with Uriah Faber. He has an aggressive style. He throws a lot of counters. His quick hands, good movement. He needs to up the volume game and then be better with the striking defense. But he has good takedown defense, so that's good. He needs to work on the going with the ground and pounding the mat more. And then he has 3 finishes in the UFC. But then you got Bill Algeo, who has wrestling and kickboxing background, very technical, very sound. He does have knockout power, and he likes to mix in kicks into his game, more so the calf kick and the body kick. But he has attacked with the head kick at times. He uses his takedowns to set up a submission game, and then he prefers transition over position. He throws inside the clinch along the cage very well. That's one of my favorite parts of his game. But he needs to put more volume out than he usually does. He usually uses low volume, and then that's kind of how he loses some decision fights is the low volume. Like he does a
yep,
good job at inputting his game plan, but when you pour in low volume and then your opponent can just do more than you, even when you do good at your game plan, they're gonna win the matchup. Within this matchup, I feel like Bill Algier's just gotta avoid those knockout shots because these both these guys don't do big volume, so it's all about who can land what they need to and then who can avoid the other guy's strength, which is it's going to be the knockout power versus the grappling. I'm going to go with Bill Algeo within this one, and then I'm going to go with him by decision, just because I feel like he's going to be able to grapple with him, get him to the mat. He'll do a lot of the transitions, a lot of the ground and pound. He'll look for those submissions, but I feel like working with Uriah Faber has helped out Andre Philly in his submission defense game, and he'll be able to avoid those. But he's still going to lose because of the output from LGO. So I'm going to go with LGO by decision.
Yeah, this is a good fight. I'm really looking forward to this one. But I still want to see that Billy Quarantillo, Bill Algeo fight. I want to see that get scheduled next.
Exactly. I'd look forward to that one.
Yeah, that was going to be a banger.
Let's move on to the co-main event of the evening. We got a men's middleweight matchup between Chidi Giacani going up against Gregory Rodriguez. We got Bang Bang versus RoboCop. What are your thoughts on this fight, and then who do you have winning?
Yeah, this is another fight of the night contender. Both are going to look to finish each other early. Chidi has the 4-inch reach advantage, has a better gas tank, which leads me to take him in this fight.
Yeah.
Rodriguez has a ton of power, clean striking, but I feel like he's going to get gassed out and he's going to leave his head open, leave it straight on the line for that right hand that Chidi throws, giving Chidi the third round knockout.
Yeah, first I got Chidi Giacani. He's a dynamic striker with a background in Muay Thai kickboxing. He likes to throw elbows and knees in the Thai clinch. He has great movement and great technique, and he has knockout power in both his hands and his legs. He has good takedown defense and good evasion, but he needs to improve his get ups when he does get taken down. He throws calf kicks, body kicks, and front kicks. He is a good distance fighter. He utilizes his speed against bigger guys, but he tends to get clinched up by them too much. Then you got Rodriguez, who has a wrestling, BJJ, and striking background. He has knockout power and good hands, but needs to improve his movement. He likes to use the double leg takedowns along the fence or a leg trip in the clinch to get his opponents to the ground. He has good ground and pound and good control, but needs to improve his fight IQ. We saw that in the last fight against Armand Petrosian. He had a submission that he could have used, but he didn't see it. And then Petrosian got out of it and wound up coming from behind and win that fight against him. Uh, and then he needs to start throwing more combinations of punches and kicks together to make his opponents think more. I'm leaning with Chidi Chikani in this one. I'm going with that first round knockout here. This guy's just been very dynamic since joining the UFC. He's come in there and he's just made quick work of his opponents with his quick hands, quick legs. He's very, he has very good movement. It's just that this guy's been one step ahead of everybody, and because Rodriguez has bad like striking defense and he tends to get hit a lot, I feel like he's going to take a lot of damage and he's going to get not put out. He is RoboCop, but I think he's going to be shut down in this fight.
Yeah, we kind of talked about the thing about Rodriguez where he's great on the ground, but
Yeah,
he gets stuck standing. Like he feels like he's got to go to war with people, and I don't know if that's the $50,000 on the line and he wants to fight in the night honors, or if the game's kind of evolving in terms of more people are getting better at jiu-jitsu. So we'll see what happens in this one. I wonder if Gregory goes to the ground.
yeah, because if the fight can go to the ground, and it definitely favors him because he's going to be, I feel like the bigger guy, and a lot of what Chitty does is on the feet and standing because the huge Muay Thai background, and Gregory Rodriguez can kind of hold him down and just play the control game, throw a little here, throw a little bit there, let him make a mistake and look to lock in a submission on him. But the fight's standing, he's just going to get picked apart, and because Chitty has great movement and he can evade those knockout shots from Rodriguez, and it's going to be like two or three strikes to one strike of Rodriguez.
Right.
He's just not going to have a chance unless he can mix things up and get the fight to the ground.
Yeah, it's a very interesting matchup.
Yep. Let's move on to the main event of the evening. We got a men's bantamweight matchup between Corey Sandhagen going up against Yadong Sung. We got the Sandman versus Kung Fu Monkey. Jim, what are your thoughts on this main event? And then who do you got winning?
I love this matchup. We talked about it in the beginning. Both are trying to work their way to the top, with Corey being there, or having already been there, and looking to move back up to the top, and Song looking to climb his way back to the top, or back up.
Yeah,
Corey comes in the bigger fighter, the longer fighter, which is going to force Song to get into range.
yeah,
I'd like to see Song utilize his wrestling in this fight. He also trains with Uriah Faber at Team Alpha Male.
yeah.
Was traditionally a wrestler, but then showcased his hands and just was super exciting. Um, he's got one punch knockout power, but Corey is really good at point fighting and using that distance to his advantage. And I feel Corey is going to use that distance to his advantage. And he's going to throw a bunch of leg kicks to keep Song back on his feet and cruise to a decision win. So I'm going to go Corey Sandhagen decision.
This is a fight that could easily just be a stand-up fight for all 5 rounds, where they just go at each other with their striking, because that's what primarily they are. Corey Sandhagen, he likes to mix up the leg kicks and his hands. He tends to be predictable with his movement. He'll move back on a straight line, and a lot of fighters know that, so they try and take advantage of it. But he is pretty quick, and then he has high output of volume, so that's what helps him out in a lot of fights. And then he isn't easily knocked out when he is fighting. Whereas you Dung Sung is a striker as well. He has knockout power. He likes to utilize the jab, overhand strikes, and then he mixes in body and calf kicks into his repertoire. But just like you said, he does have a wrestling background where he likes to clinch up, throw knees and elbows along the fence, and then use a leg trip to get the fight to the ground. That could be an equalizer for him in this matchup. Is to use the clinch game, because we've seen that in the past. TJ Dillashaw did that to him last fight
Yep.
against Sandhagen, and it helped him wear out Sandhagen a little bit, and he kind of squeaked out a decision victory because of it. Because when he started to use it, it changed the game a little bit. Whereas if he would have just stand and traded, Sandhagen was having a big time effect on it when those in fights. Because if you looked at the fights here, Peter Yan was able to clinch up with him a little bit, but Peter Yan has great cardio, so he was able to just outlast him. TJ Dillashaw, like I said, he used that. And then you had Aljamain Sterling. He was able to get the back of Sandhagen when Sandhagen was having success on the striking, and then he was able to lock in a submission. Like there are holes in Sandhagen's game that can be exposed if you expose them. But then at the same time, there's also holes with your Dung Sung. He tends to try and just stand and bang with you, and he'll get out volumed in fights. And that's one thing you don't want to do with Sandhagen, because he's the type of guy that's going to out volume you by just staying there, hit you, move back, do it again. And he'll use the range game because he's going to be the tall fighter. You see right there, he's 5'11" to 5'8", and then he has a 3 to 4 inch reach advantage. So he's going to take advantage of the reach game to just touch and go, and before you even get a chance to touch him once. I'm going to go with the underdog here. I'm going to go with Yadong Sung in this one. I think he has success with the ground game. He gets the fight to the ground. He mixes that up with the striking on the feet, and it's going to allow him to edge a victory out by decision. He might get a chance to knock out Corey Sandhagen, but I do like just the fact that he's on the 3-fight win streak, as you see right there. He knocked out Moraes, he knocked out Arce, and then he beat Kenny by decision. And then before that, he did beat Marlon Vera, who is on hot streak. So he's fought good competition, and he's made his move up with the 3-fight win streak, whereas Corey Sandhagen has a 2-fight losing streak. So I feel like he can take a little bit more chances, and then he's going to be a little bit more confident. Whereas Sandhagen's going to be a little bit desperate in the fight, and he might do a couple things that he doesn't normally do to try and get the head back in the win column.
Yeah, there's a lot there, right? So
Yeah.
if you look at Sandhagen's last five opponents, they've all been champions.
Yes.
You know, Jan, Dillashaw, Maurice, Edgar, Sterling. Song Yadong finished Marlon Moraes at the end of his career. Julio Arce, that's a big win for him.
Yeah.
Marlon Vera was the biggest win for him.
Yes.
Whereas Corey Sandhagen has been fighting the top five, top three contenders for the last 2 years. So he, of course, that two-fight win streak or losing streak is going to be a big blemish on his record. But look at the level of competition. You know, when he fought Marlon Moraes, he was not at the end of his career. He was trending downward, but
Yeah.
he wasn't where, Song Yadong just pieced him up. I'm really looking forward to this match because when Song came into UFC, he had that one punch knockout. It was beautiful. I think he fought Sadiq Youssef, but that Marlon Chito Vera fight is the biggest one to his name right now. Whereas Sandhagen's been fighting a lot, so we got to give some credit to Sandhagen. I don't think he's going to be desperate. I think he's going to be calculated.
No, exactly. But it's going to be a very fun one. I think it could go either way. I'm leaning Yadong Sung his side just because I feel like the grappling is going to be very effective in the fight. And if he could get to the grappling very early, that'd be even better for him. But if he chooses to wait, I think it's going to lean towards Corey Sandhagen because I think he'll allow Sandhagen to get started too early with a
Yeah, I
strikeout. But
totally agree. I think that the path to victory for Song is to get the fight to the ground and then wear
yeah.
him out and then use your stand up.
Exactly. But before we get going, as always, we do have a Cash App. The Cash App name is $DanielBakley. If you wish to support the show, it is thanked but not needed. So once again, Cash App $DanielBakley, and then of course this is Cage My IQ. You can follow and subscribe to us on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell down below so you never miss any of the content that we put out. And then please, as always, please smash the like button down below and hit us up in the comment section to the right to let us know what your thoughts are on UFC Fight Night Sandhagen versus Yadong Sung and anything that you've seen that makes you think that there's going to be a few underdogs that win. So give us your underdog picks, give us who you think is going to win, and then just get your opinion on what our picks are for this card. But other than that, that'll wrap things up. Today's 4 card breakdown of UFC Fight Night Sandhagen versus Sung. We'll be back next in 2 weeks for UFC Fight Night Dern versus Xiaonan Young 4 card breakdown with that taking place in the first week of October. So once again, I'm your host Cage. This is my co-host Jim. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time on another edition of Cage My IQ. See you guys.